Yes,
indeed. Yes, indeed, Mr. Joe. Mr.
here we
Scott.
are.
We are back again. How you doing, guys?
I'm doing just great. What the hell's going on with my pick? Hey, here I
I was
am.
censoring you, dude. I was censoring you,
I
man.
don't like this censoring
You're in one.
bullshit you got going
You're
on.
in one of those moods tonight. You're in one of those
I
moods.
am
I am
not.
really happy tonight.
You are Grumpelstiltskin. I can see it
No,
already.
I'm the only happy
and
guy.
Chinaville is quite
No,
wet.
no.
And
I'm just
ugh.
absolutely delighted with life. Me, things could not be any better, Joe. Look at this smiley, happy face, man. The whole world is
Boy,
just
oh
like
boy.
the whole world is like just so perfect. It's just
I'm waiting for you to start peddling Tangy Tangerine.
it's not that bad just yet. But you know, if you do want to help out the channel, folks, you can become a member of the channel. No, I'm only joking. Well, I'm not joking, but
No,
there's a
you're
join
not.
button. You can become a member. But no, aside from my gleeful joy today, how are you guys doing?
Doing absolutely fantastic.
How did the casino go, man? Come on, Scott. Did you
Yeah,
clean them
right.
out? Did you clean it out, dude?
No, they cleaned me out, but my brother had the golden touch today, and he walked in with 100 and walked out with like $420. So
Nice,
That
nice.
never works out for me that way whenever I go into a casino, so I don't go into casinos anymore.
it's his strategy is interesting. He'll sit or he'll go to one of the machines. He'll do like 2 or 3 spins on it, and then just go hit another one. He just randomly pops around, just bounces random places, and I guess that worked out for him. So
Good for him.
good for him. Yes, good for him.
Now,
Yeah,
I must admit, I've never had a day in the casino. That's one thing I've never done. Never appealed to me, that.
I've got one 4 miles away from my house, a big one, MGM. 4 miles.
I think my problem would be, Joe, I would enjoy it too much if I got a win.
I don't think so. Yeah, but and I'll tell you what, you see the people there that are addicted, that have problems. You can clearly tell they have problems, but it's like, damn, you can't. I don't know. I for one don't think that anybody should make it illegal. However, at the same time, you do have to recognize what that kind of stuff brings about and be ready to deal with the consequences of it, because you're always going to have people that can't handle something, you know? But that doesn't mean that you make you don't make it illegal because somebody's bad about that, you know?
It's just like anything else, right? Personal responsibility and
Right.
Moderation.
Moderation, and it's people's choice. If they want to go and do that, then that's their decision, and
The house always wins, eh? The house always wins.
The house always wins. And if you got the money to splurge maybe every once in a while and whatever, then
I can see people. I see people that go in there and come out winners and things like that. But I don't. To me, it's just not a place that I'd want to spend all my time at. Just personally, I don't know how you could want to spend all your time there.
No, we don't go like that.
No, yeah, I get it, but that's more along the lines of what I would envision they would want their typical clientele to be, not so much, these regular hot and heavy people that A, are going to clean them out, or B, are going to cause themselves to go into massive debt and then be a thorn in their side, or
I bet they want the people there. That's why they serve. That's why they serve alcohol at the casinos, because it lowers your inhibitions, loosens you up, and you're willing to throw in maybe an extra 100 here, there, whatever.
I'll be honest, I've never played a slot machine. Never played a slot machine in my life. Every time I go, I play blackjack or roulette, and that's it. I've never really played anything else outside of that.
Yeah, I do the slots, like the penny slots or whatever, you know. And I've came out ahead. Sometimes I win. I'm lost. Sometimes I win. You know, it's just how it goes. But
Yeah.
anyways, the entire thing though is it was nice to spend time with the family, and you know they had
That's
a real,
awesome.
Is
Is it a big place by you? Is that like a?
Oh, dude, we have a lot of casinos by us. We've got Sack and Fox, we've got Prairie Band, we've got the Golden Eagle, and we've got I think the Hollywood Casino out by Kansas City. Well, they're all on reservations out here. Yeah,
Right. Okay. Yeah, because they just opened probably 6 months ago or so. They opened up one here in Springfield, Massachusetts, and it's right across the street from the Basketball Hall of Fame, and it's an MGM, you know, kind of a Vegas style.
Is that the one that Bill in the chat room's talking about? Everett, Massachusetts.
Yeah, well, they're opening that one there. Yeah, right. That's right. So in Everett, they opened another one. I think it was a Wynn, but it's not anymore. I can't remember what the hell it is.
Well, we're going to be getting into fortunes of a different kind in just a moment.
Yeah.
Because we are going digging for ancient woo, and there's a definite brilliant pun in there. But before
do you guys have casinos over there, or is it illegal?
Jesus, where? Did you actually just ask if the UK has got casinos, dude?
Yeah, I didn't know if you guys do that stuff.
Do you honestly think we live in caves or something over here, man? I mean, I've got another American friend that asks me if we celebrate Valentine's Day. I've had another one that asks me, you know, I can't remember what it was, but they said, do you get that over there? And I almost took umbrage at the fact that they were actually intimating that the UK must be stuck in the Middle Ages or something. It's just ridiculous. No, we do have casinos over here, Joe. Yes, they're open all night long. And we've got gambling like you guys don't have over there. You can bet on anything over here. You can
no. Like, I know that the betting stuff is, it's crazy.
But we've got our casinos as well, man. Yeah.
I didn't know if they had like legalized gambling.
Yeah, they've
like
got
that.
there's a couple of big ones in Glasgow. 2 or 3 actually. They're quite popular. One of my mates used to go there and play poker all the time. Yes, again, it's just never really appealed to me. But before we get going, right, I just want to tell everyone tomorrow, especially the members, because we do a 1 member stream a month, but usually I do them weekly. Tomorrow we're going to shift things up. I'm going to leave it open to everyone to come, because we're going to be talking about some really important information tomorrow on the early stream. It's not prepping per se, but my good friend Nancy is going to come on, and we're going to talk about just the basics, you know, that you need to have around, simple things you can do, cost-efficient type things that you can do. You know, we're not going to be talking about water filters for $400, $500, that type of thing. But yeah, my good friend Nancy, she's going to come on to the show. We were going to put a list together, but we're just going to team up. We're going to do a stream, and I'm really looking forward to the audience meeting Nancy, because she's somebody that has to put up with all of my madness off air. I bounce ideas off her. I give her all of my crap. And yeah, we usually talk for about 5 hours, so I don't know how long the stream will be tomorrow, but it's definitely going to be highly informative. We're going to be getting into some quantum stuff as well. The quantum world.
Nancy's really big into the quantum
well-rounded
and stuff like that. Yeah, so I think it is going to be a really awesome stream, and I think she's going to bring a lot of really good information to the table. So
I'm really excited. I am really excited about this one. I didn't know if I'd ever get Nancy to come onto the stream, so tomorrow I'm really looking forward to that. And of course, we'll be back with these couple of maniacs and Mamga. Yes, Popeye will be here tomorrow as well to make alternative media great again. I'm sticking with it, Joe. I'm going with it.
I'm still sticking to my original thing, which was make rabbit holes great again.
Mrahaha. You see, that sounds like some kind of weird, like ooga booga type, I don't know, entity or virus or mrahaha.
Something.
Is it like a chapter out of the Mahabharata?
Yeah, right.
It's-
Probably so.
yeah,
Well, I tell you
probably.
what, we're going back even further than the times of the Mahabharata tonight,
Mhm.
because I want to give a big shout out to Natalie in the chat room. Natalie the other day said, you know, I can send you some really good information on some ancient woo. And I hear this a lot, Joe, okay? And people come and they send me stuff, and, you know, it's good. But then there's some stuff you get sent that just sends you right down, I would say, a rabbit hole. But in tonight's case, it's going to be an ancient mine shaft. Not one of them, but over 75,000 of them.
I mean, unreal, dude. Could you imagine what it took to do that? Especially like, I don't want to say back then, because that's not the right way to frame that. What we're trying to say is that in order for these tunnels to have been excavated, if you will, it would have taken machinery that rivaled what we have today, if not more advanced than what we have today. And these tunnels, what did they say, Kev? 12,000 years
Kev
old?
even took notes, if you can see that. It's blinking out
Holy
because of my
moly.
camera. It blinks out with the screen, I get it. But I've got like reams of notes. But yeah, it's Michael Tellinger. And I've heard of
Yeah,
Michael
it's
Tellinger in the
fascinating.
past. Yeah, and usually with Michael Tellinger, he always blows me away with Adam's calendar, the stone circles in Africa, things like that. But today, Natalie sent me a number of links, and I only got to one of them. So we're only scraping the surface. We're only just getting this digging for ancient woo started. But we're talking about 75,000 ancient mines that have been discovered. And some of them were only discovered when modern miners moved into the area. And they were excavating themselves, Africa, South Africa, rich with gold, to the point that back in 1899, the Brits sent down near enough 500,000 troops to the tip of Africa to fight for this piece of land that, on the face of it, you know, what's so important down there? But then you come to learn about all of the riches that lie beneath the soil in South Africa. And of course, you can look at the De Beers mining nowadays and things like that. And they came up in today's information. But guys, one that really got me was when they were talking about how it was called the Wolk, W-O-K, W-O-L-K,
That's
Wolkberg
never
Mines.
good.
No, it's not
That's
woke.
never
It's
good.
Wolkberg. I'm trying not to say woke. It's probably pronounced woke, right? But you're talking about kilometers of tunnels, right? And they're precision mined. And they'd left all the platinum behind. All the platinum was left. And they'd just stripped it entirely of the gold. Now, when you try and date these things, Joe, you're talking about the ancient, ancient world. Yet tunnels described as being... Hey, Tinkerbell, thank you very much. I can't do that dance anymore.
Y'all.
Hiyo! Now that sounds like it's the Mahabharata. Yeah, but precision mines, right? And then there's another one discovered in the 1990s. And we're going to take a look at some of the stuff that's been written by Michael Tellinger. But the De Beers find a 22,000 foot deep shaft. And it was cut, and I showed Scott this, a screenshot from the actual episode I watched. And it was on Gaia before people say, "Where did you see that, Kev?" And they'll go, "But you don't watch Gaia." Selective.
Oh, but he does.
Case by case. And Michael Tellinger, for me, has always been solid. I know. Shh, don't tell everyone. Don't tell everyone. But we hear about the Anunnaki and stuff like that coming down here for gold and things.
Yeah.
And now we're finding out, or Michael Tellinger and people before him, because he was told numerous stories. I've got a few of them written down here. Not only ancient mining, but the fact that they were using tools with the kind of precision that we would normally associate with the great monuments like the pyramids, Baalbek, places like that. It just makes you wonder, again, what on earth has been going on this planet in the past? And I don't even want to date these, Scott, because how can you date them, right? Because in the end of the day, most of what we've been told, we can pretty much say that, Don't know if that's quite accurate. So when you're going back way before recorded history and things, like prehistoric mines, let's call them that, because there's no record of them. I mean, this is like some of the deepest woo I've come across.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely really, really fascinating. And the first thing that kind of pops into my mind is, are we looking at the ancient sort of gold mines that the Anunnaki used to mine? You know, I always find it interesting because why is it that humans have this, like, we seem to be attracted to shiny things? You know, that seems to be something that is encoded in our DNA, where anything shiny and glistening in the rock and in the soil, we're like, ooh, and we want to dig it out, and we want to, you know, we have a thing with gems, and we have a thing with gold and elements like that. And if you think about it, do any of those things really are they really necessary for the survival of humanity? No.
Interestingly enough, Book of Enoch says that metallurgy was something specifically taught to human beings by the fallen ones around the same time that these tunnels are said to have been manufactured.
I mean, it's really, it makes you wonder, right? And or, you know, if we go to, say, the Anunnaki story, right? Well, then you're talking about, did they create a race of human, you know, a gene spliced race to mine the gold for them, and it was part of that gene splicing, that whole thing of being able to be attracted to anything shiny in the dirt and in the ground, you know. So if you wanted a slave class to mine gold for you, then you would probably want them to be pretty good about picking things out.
And didn't you say, Kev, that some of these tunnels were full of platinum, but devoid of gold, meaning that they left the platinum behind and only took the gold?
The platinum slag, as they called it, that was all just left there. That was all just, you know, just lying there for the prospectors to come in, and, you know, that had just been left, dumped. But the gold vein that they were on, no, that was stripped right out. And just a look at the entrance to one of these here. If we come here, I'll pull this up a little bit. Hang on now. Try and get it so people can see it. There you go. That's the entrance to one of them there. And that's one of the ones that, you know, you can find and go into. But the ones that were really interesting me were the ones that modern miners were going down, and they were going, say, 100 feet. This was the typical story. They would go 100 foot down, and then there would either be a collapse at the side or something would collapse down. And that's when they would find these ancient mines. And the company at the time was called Anglo American. Now, they would come along when these ancient mines were uncovered, and they would say, yep, we know about these. And they would kind of store them, they would record them, put them in a file. And that file, wherever that file is, allegedly contains thousands of these sites. Absolutely thousands. And there's a story about a guy called Kruger, and it was during this Boer War down in Africa with the British, 1899 to 1902, and there was a full train of gold that left Victoria.
Yes, I've heard about this story.
Yeah, Victoria, right? And it was supposed to be going to Mozambique, but it just disappeared. Now, at the time, they called it Kruger's Millions. Today, it would probably be Kruger's Trillions. But Michael Tellinger makes a good point, because where on earth did all of that gold come from? Because round about that time, the prospecting and the mining that was going on, it didn't account for that much gold, Scott. Joe, there's no way it could have accounted for that. So it got me thinking, you know, why does Britain send 500,000 troops? 500,000 troops, you know, 1899. Think of the logistics and sailing all of those down there, all of the cannons, the armaments, everything else, to go to the tip of Africa? it's very, very strange indeed. And it just adds to this this mystery of what on earth's name was going on in the past, Scott? What was this world looking like in the past?
I mean, right now that's where I'm leaning. I'm leaning towards these being the ancient kind of Anunnaki gold mines. That's just it. Just sounds like that's what we're looking at here. I mean, I could be wrong, obviously.
I think my
but-
speculation would line up with yours, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Just thinking about how ancient these things are, and that would line up with, how how far back that all happened and all of that. But the Kruger thing was really really interesting as well. I mean, that whole thing is woo in itself about where did the gold go, and Josh Gates from I think Expedition Unknown did a whole thing on Kruger. On the Kruger gold, and was looking for possible leads on where it could be, and you can show people what a Kruger coin looks like.
Yeah, I'll bring that up. Yeah,
yeah,
they're pretty cool. They were in,
pretty,
Kruger
yeah,
gold coin. No, bring up the screen. Don't worry, folks. I know you can't see it yet. Images.
and they're super expensive, and
yeah, I think.
Oh, the Krugerrands.
Yeah, there's ancient, there's old ones as well. Hang on, old Kruger coins. Because these ones, I mean, that's the guy there. That's him.
I think a lot of these Kruger coins that were on the train were probably stamped out of the gold that they've. I wonder if they went to these mines, these ancient mines, and maybe like tried to like retap them, hit them again and see if they can find anything left over. And
I don't want to go to the Gaia screenshot of the ancient ones because he's actually got ancient ones in there, but Gaia are going to be savage and probably hit me with a copyright if I even show a still image. But yeah, it makes you wonder, where it all came from and where all that went. And Tellinger was saying even to this day, you can be looking for the stone circles, you can be going up mountains, and all of a sudden you'll come across a big hole. And it's people every year still coming back to look for the gold.
And
it's crazy, man.
I mean, think about all of it that gold that they found. Mm-hmm. That's what they found when they sent 500,000 troops down there.
I was startled, Joe, when I heard that.
What could be? Yeah, what else is down there? That's the question. 75,000 tons.
I've got another bit here I wrote down, and I was just basically writing down verbatim what I heard. And it was, at the start, he's talking about the 75,000 roughly that they reckon there is. And then the 100 foot down. And it wasn't just the fact that they found these ancient, older mines, but there was reports of tools, artifacts, and then in a place called Blue Fontaine, 500 meters into one of these ancient shafts, skeletal remains as well. Now, no word on what these skeletons looked like. I'm thinking, were they above average size? Were they very above average size? I really don't know. It's hard to really get going, but the imagination sparks off. It truly does, because just yesterday I was talking about ancient tunnels from Scotland down to Turkey that take us into the ballpark area of Göbekli Tepe 12,000 years ago-ish, and we'll take a look at them as we go on as well. I'm just going to read a little bit from Graham Hancock's website. And this comes from Michael Tellinger. September 2013, decoding the hidden ruins of South Africa and discovering the true cradle of mankind. But if we come down here, it starts to get relevant round about here. Ancient gold fields. It says it is important to note that the mysterious ruins of South Africa, which include Great Zimbabwe and millions of similar ruins in that country, also extend into neighbouring areas like Botswana, Namibia, Zambia, Kenya and Mozambique. But why were these ancient people here in the first place, and what were they doing? In the past 200 years, I've seen a number of explorers write in great detail about these ruins. In fact, I'll bring these up for the people. There you go. About these ancient ruins, but their findings have largely forgotten, have been largely forgotten, and their books are out of print. Now, most of these early explorers write about thousands of ancient mine shafts found in close proximity to these ruins. In fact, most of these mines have been described as gold mines, copper, tin, and iron mines. In my personal experience and research, I have found at least 25 ancient mine shafts in gold-rich areas and have been told about dozens more by farmers all over South Africa. Ancient mines covered up by 30 metres of soil and have been reported by at least 2 miners in the 30s in the province of Limpopo, and more than 75,000 mines have been reported by geological companies in Mpumalanga. I think I done all right there.
Yeah, I've got something on this too, and it actually gets into this an ancient. Listen to this. Ancient human metropolis.
Wait till I finish just one little bit, right? Because it gets into the
Yeah,
bit.
because this is crazy, and it gets into ancient human metropolises found in Africa, right around the area you're talking about.
Yep. So it says in more than 75,000 mines have been reported by geological companies in that Mpumalanga. I've done it better the first time. It seems that gold mining has been going on here for a lot longer than most of us ever imagined. Says Anne Kritzinger, a geologist from the University of Zimbabwe, has shown in several papers that many of the ruins in Zimbabwe were most likely for the purpose of extracting and purifying gold, and were not slave pits, animal pits, or grain pits, as it's often suggested by ignorant scholars. And the presence of Dravidian gold miners is shown in great detail by Dr. Cyril Kromnik in the astonishing book Indo-Africa in 1981, showing in great detail the exploits of the Makomati people, Indo-Dravidians, who were in South Africa mining gold as far back as 2,000 years ago, and probably even further in time. And it goes on to a Sumeria and Ubuntu connection. But what have you dug up there, Joe?
It's interesting. It's by Dan Eden. Let me send you this. This is kind of it's a 4-page thing that gets into some of maybe an ancient African Nibiru type of history here. It says here, they've always been there, but no one remembered who made them or why until recently. No one even knew how many there were. Now they're everywhere, hundreds of thousands of them. And the story they tell is the most important story in humanity. An amazing discovery has been made in South Africa near Maputo, the remains of a huge city that measures at least 1,500 square miles. It's part of an even larger community that's about 10,000 square miles. It appears to have been constructed probably between 160 to 200,000 years ago, which God only knows, probably around the same time these mines were, I would say more along the lines of like a 10 to 12,000 years, like Lobeki Tepe time. And it says, while local farmers have often found these circles, no one knows who made them or how old they are. But this changed when researcher and author Michael Tellinger teamed up with Johann Hein. Hein, a local fireman and pilot, have noticed these strange stone foundations from his years of flying over the region. He knew they were important. And the area, it says that the thousands of ancient gold mines discovered over the past 500 years point to a vanished civilization that lived and dug for gold in this part of the world for thousands of years. And if this is in fact the cradle of humankind, we may be looking at the activities of the oldest civilization on Earth. It says, did gold play a role in the dense population that once lived here? The site is only 150 miles from an excellent port where trade may have helped support such a large population. But remember, they're talking, in this theory, 200,000 years ago. The individual ruins are almost mostly stone circles. Most are buried in the sand and can only be seen by satellite or aircraft. Some were exposed when changing climate blew away the sand to reveal the walls and foundations. It says here, I see myself as a fairly open-minded chap, but I will admit that it took me well over a year for the penny to drop and for me to realize that we're actually dealing with the oldest structures ever built by humans on Earth. He says the main reasons for this is that we've been taught that nothing of significance have ever come from southern Africa, that the powerful civilizations all emerged in Sumeria and Egypt and other places. We're told that until the settlement of the Bantu people from the north, which was supposed to have started sometime in the 12th century AD, this part of the world was filled with hunter-gatherers, or so-called bushmen, who didn't make any major contributions in technology or civilization.
Dude, 200,000 years ago. This is where I'm thinking there was probably mining. I know it sounds ridiculous, right? I think it goes, yeah, way yonder back. You know?
See, I think that
Stuart in the chat said that Mr. Everard covers this and he calls it the civilization of Enki.
Enki.
Hmm?
Yeah, we'll get into that in just a minute. But interestingly enough, I kind of like how Brooks Agnew deals with it, in that the Earth is millions of years old and thousands of years old. In that you have civilizations or variations of life that happen and then calamity strikes and it starts over. And we've had reincarnations of humanity in one way, shape, or form, time and time and time and time again. Each time the Earth takes on different characteristics, different attributes, and life.
And every time it resets.
That. Yeah,
every time it resets, the humanoid population that springs out of that believes that the Earth is as old as, well, that, since that reset, but how old?
Most if not all of that information and all of the topography and all of the architecture, infrastructure, all of it seems to get wiped out each time. Yep. To where there's very little that remains.
Well, I think that would explain it, and I know you've got more to say on that, Joe, but I think, the remnants, there's always remnants left over, right, from the cycle before, that pass on some knowledge that can be retained, okay? And I wonder, I really do wonder, because if we take a look at this, I mean, I mentioned the tunnels from Scotland to Turkey, right? Yeah. But I had no idea that some of them looked a little bit like that. Now, that's somewhere where you could live underground.
Oh,
if
absolutely.
There was some kind of cataclysm going on. And it would, maybe, it might give an explanation as to where the people from Göbekli Tepe went. Because we're going 12,000 years here, and they say Göbekli Tepe 11,000 years. Well, when we're dealing with thousands of years, I think we can put that in the same kind of window.
Pretty close.
Yeah, pretty ballpark. I mean, check that out. I mean, what the heck?
Look at that.
And I tell you what, the people who built Göbekli Tepe were definitely capable of building something like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I mean, what really is striking there is just the precision and the fact that, look at how well built that cave is. Look at the measurements done. And the consistency, and look at how well that's 12,000 years old.
That floor is smoother than our highways and our roads.
Yep.
Right.
Right. I mean, you think about that, and they definitely did not make that with just chicken bones and
chicken bones. I love it, man.
Chicken bones.
First paragraph of this, it says, just for people who haven't heard of these, the whole of Europe. There are thousands of underground tunnels from the north of Scotland leading up to the Mediterranean. This 12,000 years of underground network, massive, is very impressive. Some experts believe that the network has been a way to protect man against predators, while others suggest the idea that the tunnels were used as motorways are today, for people to travel safely, independently of the wars or violence or even the weather. Even the weather above ground. They could be described as an underground highway ancient. There's obviously some translation been lost here when somebody's translated it, right? Others believe that the tunnels can be seen as a gateway to the lower world. And the German archaeologist Heinrich Dr. Kusch, so that should be Dr. Heinrich Kusch, right? Stated that the evidence of the tunnels had been found under hundreds of Neolithic settlements throughout European continent. In his book, The Secrets of the Metro Station Door of an Old World, German title, Tor zur Unterwelt. Yes, there you go. I think I got that.
Yes.
He said
No.
that the fact that so many people have survived for 12,000 years shows that a network of these tunnels of origins must have been enormous. Bavaria, Germany, 700 meters of these networks of underground tunnels. Region of Austria, 350 meters. That's pretty elaborate, system. You call it an underground highway. I think people were living under there, dude.
Yeah, it's interesting how they kind of, they're like, well, could it be an underground highway, like an underground network? And
I mean, it
what do we
could
have
be,
going on
but-
now? I mean, what do we have going on now? In our current, in this current iteration that we're living out. Well, we had got Elon Musk, boring tunnels underground.
Yeah.
He wants to do underground highways and connect everything underground. So
Yeah.
that seems to be the direction.
And I
It seems to be
wonder, Scott, I
that we
wonder,
go.
I wonder how many times he might have stumbled across older tunnels when he's been making his new tunnels under Las Vegas. I think he's got some going in there. I think he's got some in California, LA as well. Just imagine, who's to say that there aren't the ancient tunnels over there as well?
Oh yeah, exactly. And I mean, we talk about like the stories of the Anastasi, right? They said that they were told to go underground to survive some kind of cataclysm, right? I believe that's the Anastasi story, and that they were told by the Ant-Men, right? These beings that I guess that they described them as looking like ants or something. They had antennas, or told them that there was a cataclysm coming and that they needed to go underground, and that they were saved by the star people. So I'm sure there are tunnels down in the desert Southwest, no doubt. Yeah, it's crazy stuff.
So, Joe, what else is it saying about this on Tellinger's thing? Is there still... It says that when they first found the ruins, they thought they were 13th century cattle corrals. 13th century, I think we're going back a lot longer than that when it comes to these structures and circles. And I remember looking at Tellinger years ago. The amount
Yeah, I agree.
of these circles that are in Africa, thousand upon thousand, dude.
A lot. Let's go to page 4 real quick. The legend of the Atra Hasisi.
Wow.
Now this is interesting. The legend calls Atra Hasisi begins with the gods, who were beings from a planet called Nibiru. The gods were digging ditches and mining for gold as part of an expeditionary team. Modern humans didn't exist yet. Only primitive hominids lived on Earth. The two groups of gods were the worker class and the ruling class. Worker gods had built the infrastructure and worked in the gold mine. The gods, it says, had to dig out the canals, had to clear channels, the lifelines of the land. The gods dug out the Tigris riverbed and then dug out the Euphrates. This according to Dale 9 of the Atra Hasis. I don't know what that is. After
It's obviously looks like this is obviously some Sumerian, something that was
Yep.
translated from the Sumerian tablets.
Right,
is what we're
exactly.
I think it goes
Mhm.
into Enlil, doesn't it? Isn't that not
It does.
Enki's brother?
It says after 3,600 years of work, the gods began to complain. They went on strike, burned their tools, and surrounded the dwelling of the chief god Enlil. Enlil Vizier Nusku uh, gets Enlil out of bed and alerts him to the angry mob outside. Enlil, it says here, is scared. His face is described as being sallow as a tamarisk. Nusku advises Enlil to summon the other great gods, especially Anu, the sky god, and Enki, the clever god of the fresh waters. Anu advises Enlil to find the ringleader of the rebellion, so they send Nusku out to ask the mob of the gods. The mob answers, every single one of us gods has declared war. The upper class gods now see that the work of the lower class gods was too hard. They decide to sacrifice one rebel for the good of all.
Why does it always
They-
end up with that?
I don't know. They will take one god, kill him, and make mankind by mixing God's flesh and blood with clay.
Oh, well, bit of genetic manipulation going on there. A bit
A little
of
genetic manipulation.
Yeah.
Like, well, we're gonna have to sacrifice you so we can take some of those DNA samples and inject it into these
Yeah, it says here,
hominids that are living down here.
Belit Lily, the womb goddess is present. Let the womb goddess create offspring, and let the man bear the load of the gods. After Enki instructs them on monthly purification rituals, the god slaughters Gesh-tu-e, a god who had intelligence. His name means ear or wisdom. They form mankind from his blood, and some clay from the earth goddess then mixes. All the gods trooped by and spit on it. Then Enki and the womb goddess take the clay into the room of fate, where other goddesses are present. He, Enki, trod the clay in her presence. She kept reciting an incantation, for Enki, staying in her presence, made her recite it. When she had finished her incantation, she pinched off 14 pieces of clay and set 7 pieces on the right, 7 pieces on the left. Between them, she put down a mud brick. The result was a hybrid or evolved human who was more intelligent, could perform the worker god's physical duties, and could take care of all the god's needs.
Now, this incantation, I'm just thinking frequency. There's a vibration going on there. There's something vibrational to this magic that they're
Yeah,
doing.
perhaps.
And then does this not have like connotations and ring a bell with what John Dee was doing back in the day with the clay?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
trying to make the golems and things like. I know this is
Yep.
like, I know that's something slightly different. The golem was to be indwelt by a spirit, but it's just the clay thing again. There's obviously something to do with the clay and this alchemy thing and all the rest of it, man. It's weird, Scotty. I think you're muted up, Scott.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Are we also talking about them trying to describe this process with only the kind of reference that they had at the time, right? So,
Ooh, we have got a new
Awesome.
member coming in, and it's Julian. And Julian is going to be coming onto the show next week. Yes, Julian, I look forward to hanging out with you on the show next week, my brother. We are going to do some good work, I can tell. Thank you for becoming a member, man. And I think we only need 4 more now. 4 more to get our new emoji. We are getting there. Thank you all so much for keeping this channel commercially viable. It's a very good thing in this day and age on YouTube. Oh, yes, indeed. So, sorry for interrupting you there, Scott.
no. Awesome. Awesome, Julian. Thanks for becoming a member, man. No, but I'm wondering if they're just trying to describe it based off of like their experience at the time, you know, and it goes back to like chariots of fire flying through the sky. Well, how are you going to describe something you've never seen before? Well, you're going to find the closest thing you can possibly try to connect it to. So when they're talking about like pieces of clay and earth and all of that stuff, are we talking about them using some kind of elements? When they go into a room to do this incantation or something, are we talking about a laboratory of some kind? I mean, a lot of this high technology stuff would probably look like magic to these people. You know what I mean? Or the way that they would have to describe it would be some sort of a a magical incantation or spell or something along that lines. And then, it goes back to kind of like what Joe said, or what you were saying, Kev, about like frequencies. Were they using frequency technology? All of this kind of stuff. I think that there was some.
Right, we've lost Joe. Hang on. I've only. Now he's back. There he is. There he is. He's back. He's back. Not me this time. Not me.
It's crazy.
So
it just dropped like, oh, never mind.
I don't know. I wonder if this process was actually much more technologically advanced than kind of what you're reading. You know what I mean? And this is the only best way that they can describe it. But obviously, this is going to what I was saying. Like, they engineered humans, and they wanted them to do the work and dig the gold, and maybe that's why we're so attracted to shiny things in the ground. Just saying.
I might be with you there, Scott. Yep.
No, I am with you too. Now let me finish this up, because this is interesting. It just says that other texts tell us that the expedition came for gold. Great quantities were mined and shipped off the planet. The community in South Africa was called Abzu and was the prime location of the mining operation. These events appear to coincide with the dates of mitochondrial Eve of 150,000 to 250,000 BC.
Now, Joe, is that why we call it like mitochondrial DNA?
Yeah. Well, mitochondrial being that that's typically how they have to get it. Any DNA to be identified is typically inside the bone, where they can extract a cell that might still have living tissue, or something. Yeah. Now, it says here they appear to be located in the richest gold mining region on the planet Abzu. Some researchers have questioned whether Sumerian legends may be based on historical events. According to the same text, once the mining expedition ended, it was decided that humans should be allowed to perish in a flood predicted by the astronomers of the gods. Apparently, the gods' home planet, Nibiru, was coming close to Earth. Its gravity would cause oceans to rise and flood the land. One god had sympathy for a particular human, Zuisudrd. The god warned Zuisudrd to construct a boat to ride out the flood. There you go.
I like that, though. But see, now, wait a minute, though, right? Because let's think about what Scott said a moment ago about you've got to think, what people could refer to in the language of the time. This is going to sound bizarre, right? It's going to sound totally out there. People are going to laugh. But, what if it wasn't a planet, Nibiru? What if it was something like the Death Star? Now,
what if the moon is it just like dead now?
That's where I was going, man. That's where I was maybe going. What if that? I know people, it sounds bizarre, right? But if you think of a big round ball in the sky that turns up and these people call home.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what if that's their spaceship? What if that was their mothership, right? Like we look at the Borg cube. If we're going to use a sort of an analogy here, some Star Trek analogy, the Borg cube, their entire civilization is is flying around on this. The Borg cube is huge, right? It's like almost a planet-sized kind of sort of thing, and if you're a civilization that is traversing solar system, your spaceship would probably be the size of a planet to sustain your entire your civilization could just be constantly on the move, bouncing from place to place, and you would never have to
Sitchin's about kitchen, Scott. We've got the Anunnaki Death Star.
We've got the Anunnaki Death Star,
complete with Sitchin's kitchen.
It makes sense though, from a standpoint of keeping your civilization alive, right? You would never have to worry about a star going supernova and destroying your planet if your planet is actually constantly on the move,
right?
Flying into other solar systems, maybe
I would
you know,
explain why we've not found it. With all the telescopes
out
and everything else, we've never seen this planet that comes in on this orbit. And I get it. People will say, but Kev, you
Yeah.
can't see it. Conveniently, you can't see it. I get that, but, I don't know. And right beside Sitchin's kitchen, do you think Tellinger's Tavern sits there? Yes, indeed.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
come on, man. I had to.
I like I like your little thought process on that, Kev, because I think that puts an interesting kind of take on it where, they describe it as a planet, but were we really looking at just their mothership that doubles as their planet,
Yeah, because think about it. How does a planet, or how do things or people or plants or anything survive on a planet that doesn't get adequate sunlight for most of the time and everything else? So it would make more sense that it would be some sort of large craft or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's just a thought, and then you think of Credo Mutwa and the Zulus, their cosmology or their creation myth. They talk about two reptilian brothers, right? Well, can we maybe think that's Enki, Enlil? And what did Credo Mutwa said? Oh, they drag the moon here. They took a big egg with them and put the egg up there, and that sorted all the waters and everything else. Maybe we are looking at the moon as some kind of ancient kind of... I know people are going to laugh. They're going to cut this out and they're going to say, Kev Baker, he laughs at things like the 17th letter of the alphabet. He mocks the shape of the planet. But now he's trying to tell people that the moon's a spaceship. No, it's just a thought. It's just an idea. It's just a little kind of conversation
I've got no
starter.
problem with that. Yeah, I mean, it's just something to talk about.
Yeah, I'm not saying it is. I'm just thinking.
This would also explain, we talk about the Mahabharata and all of the battles going on in the sky, right? Well, obviously from this Sumerian sort of translation here of the story, doesn't sound like the Anunnaki was a very stable society as far as their society. They were dealing with a lot of the same issues, it sounds like, that we deal with. You had worker quote unquote gods, and then the level above them, and they became unhappy. They was like going on strike, destroying their tools, and people, they were angry, and you got to wonder, was there like battles going on? Were they fighting amongst each other? And that would explain why you would see things flying across the sky and energy weapons being used and all of that. Were we dealing with some kind of like rebellion, amongst
you think of this planet, this is some prize, right? This really is some prize, because we've got the shiny stuff that they're wanting for some reason. It's in a habitable zone where they can play about with the humanoids that were here. This must be like prime real estate back then if you're a bunch of terraforming aliens, right?
Definitely. And let's think about what gold is used for besides jewelry, which now in the modern era of technology, gold is very, very, very important when it comes to spacecraft, electronics, everything. Gold is absolutely essential when it comes to that stuff. And if you're a civilization that is utilizing technology, I mean, obviously the Anunnaki had the ability to traverse whatever, the galaxy, maybe they're jumping from solar system to solar system. They probably need a pretty steady supply of gold to maintain their mothership or whatever technology that they're utilizing. It probably would be a very important element, just like we need lithium for our cell phones and whatnot. They would definitely need gold, no doubt. So I think that's why they came here and started mining it all. They're like, hey, we need to repair the Death Star. We need more gold.
I'm telling you, man, there's something weird about this, something weird and wonderful. So, Joe, would, in your mind then, would you describe the Anunnaki as fallen ones?
Yeah, and one I'd say it's just a version of the same story.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Same
same way
stuff.
that people who might not be Christian would say they're aliens.
Right. Exactly.
They're still talking
Same.
about the
Same
same thing. Yeah.
Same thing. Yep.
Pretty interesting. I don't know what it is about this ancient stuff, but it's really, really gripped my attention in recent times. You know, and
Yeah, definitely a rabbit hole that we've been really like getting into, and
we
it's
think we're
piqued my
exploring, but then
attention.
it forks, Scott, and then it caves in, and we find an even deeper bit of woo that goes further back. And I just want to thank Natalie for sending
Yeah.
that to me. And I've still got another couple of links. I'll share them with the guys. I've not even scratched the surface of what I've been sent yet. But I just had to talk about this tonight, Scott, because it just ties in with the ancient woo we've been getting into, right? And there's been something weird going on. I was showing you that story earlier on, and I'll bring that up here. I know my mum's watching right now, but this was something I'd never heard about before. And I brought it up on a stream yesterday, and it's about the north of Scotland. It talks about spirit guardians. It talks about the Clava cairns made famous by Outlander and things. But down here, this is where it gets really interesting for me. It says, summer of 1976 was noted for being one of the hottest on record in the UK, something that anyone of a certain age and who lived through it can attest to. So by June, the temperature was already up to the mid-80s Fahrenheit. On July the 3rd, it peaked at a pulverizing 96.6 Fahrenheit. That almost sounds like an alien Scotland to me. I've never felt that in Scotland, which is
That's just your average summer day here in Kansas.
yeah, which is certainly hot for the UK. And that was with my mum. The 3rd of July, I was like 13 days from popping out, Scott. So you can imagine being heavily pregnant in that weather. Not a popular.
man.
Yeah, I wasn't a popular.
That's rough. That's rough. I bet Pearl was not very comfortable.
Maybe
dealing
that
with
explains, right, why she can't remember this. Because that really kind of puzzles me. Because my mum, you know, she's lived there, born and brought up there. She knows all of the woo. She's steeped in the woo. And I said to her, have you ever heard of this? Never. And I'll get into it. Maybe some people yesterday missed this part.
She was slightly distracted with other things, Kev.
Producing yours truly, yes indeed. And I need to get rid of that on the telly behind me. It's gone away again. Please let it go away. That's the boxing getting warmed up for later on. Go on, Tyson Fury. But it says here that scalding period was noted for something else too. An American named Marty Klein was at Loch Ness as part of a expedition to find evidence of the existence of its famous creatures. It was an ambitious quest organised and sponsored by the Boston, Massachusetts-based Academy of Applied Sciences, pretty respectable, and the New York Times, and headed by longtime Nessie seeker Dr. Robert H. Rhines. It was also a project that saw the AAS team capture some intriguing sonar imagery, including one dubbed the Average Plesiosaur that seemed to show nothing less than a long-necked carcass in deep waters off my home village of Fort Augustus. Yes, but there was something else that Klein found. And this is where it gets really interesting. While using side-scan sonar technology in the waters near the village of Loch End, which can be found on the northeastern end of the loch, the team stumbled on something hitherto unknown. Two curious formations, one in the water of a depth of barely 30 feet and another at a depth of around 70 feet. Now they were described as a mother lode of stone circles. Big ones, little ones, single circles and circles intertwined with others. Circles laid out in a straight line and circles in no particular order. Now, given that Marty Klein, and I still think that's a brilliant name for an actor, a great name, was the key figure in the discovery of the stones, they became known as Kleinhenge 1 and Kleinhenge 2. Now, in terms of size, the circles range from 15 to 150 feet in diameter. And to varying degrees, Scotty boy, they overlapped. Now, this is a stone's throw, pardon the pun, from those clava cairns that I talk about, the standing stones in Inverness. So I
Yeah.
tell you, dude.
Okay, we talk about these locks, right? In Scotland, you know, with Loch Ness and all that. And how were they formed? Well, they were formed when the ice cap melted, right? From the Ice Age. We're talking about, you know, lakes that were formed by glacial melt. So at one point, those stone structures had to be built at a time when the water level was much, much lower, which would suggest pre-Ice Age.
And I'm wondering, Scott,
Or-
you've heard me talk about this before. Like, it seems weird when you say parts of Loch Ness are bottomless, right? But what it means is it's kind of cavernous. So you've got the two big hills, the Great Glen, the fault line, you know, the ice would have been there, melted away. And then, Scotty boy, these cavernous caves, right? Caves that go under the hills. I wonder if at one point they were above sea level, above the water level. And that might be the entrance to some of these mines or some of these tunnels that we were looking at when it
I
comes
think you're onto something.
to that.
Yeah, because at one point that water level was much lower. So
Yeah.
all of those caves would have been exposed, you know, on the surface.
Dang,
And-
dude, we're hitting some woo tonight, man.
Yeah, we are hitting some.
We're hitting pay
some,
dirt, Scott. We're hitting pay dirt. We're on it, man. We're on it. Keep going. Keep going.
We're on it.
Where does Oak Island fit?
So-
Oak Island must connect to this, right? It would be the ultimate woo if we could connect Oak Island to all of this woo. I bet we can. You know how? Because some of the gold that came out of the African mines probably ended up in Jerusalem. And then the Templars probably took it from Jerusalem all the way past Roslyn. And then all the way over to that freaky little island.
You see how smoothly Kev just put it all together. He questioned whether we could link Oak Island to it, and then just like that, boom.
It's a stretch of a link, but for woo purposes, it's
For woo
infotainment.
purposes.
I'm not making any claims here, folks. Nothing I've said tonight is anything that I'm telling you. This is how it is. It's just the way the imagination goes when you explore these things, man.
But yeah, I mean, because they would have to have made those stone structures when the water level was 70 feet lower.
Yep. Yeah, because there's one that's 70 feet down. Absolutely, Scott. And I don't
I'm
believe
not-
they were just chucking rocks in and making intertwining circles. I don't think that was happening. I know they were probably big boys back then, but no, I ain't buying that. I'm going with you.
Yeah, I don't think you're just going to be randomly throwing rocks in the water and they're just going to be landing in circle formations, or I'm not picturing some old some old uncivilized culture like swimming down to the bottom and placing these rocks for whatever. No, they had to be made at a time when the water level was much lower, and so yeah, I mean that's old, man. That's definitely.
There's one of them
You know,
there.
yeah.
There's one of them there, dude. There's one of them. That's a mound. Now, if I show you lava cairns, and we go here, images, and we look at that one there, and then we go to now where was it? That there. Now, I'm not saying it's the same. I'm not saying that.
I mean,
But come on.
we're looking
That's not
at
natural. That's not a natural formation of rocks. No geologist in the world would say, yes, the ice just deposited it in very nice interlocking circles, Kev. It's nothing
What
to
are you
see
talking
here.
about, Kev? Of course they would say that because that's what they say about the formations off the coast of Japan. Oh, it was just wave action that created 90-degree angles
There it
and
is, man.
steps.
Look at that bad boy.
Yeah. There's this is definitely like pre. This is like if you look at Randall Carlson stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
Talk about
I
him,
think this
Scott,
is
because there might be people that have never
Yeah,
heard of Randall
people
Carlson.
need to hear
But
about
what do you
him.
think of that? What do you think of that, though, Joe, right? That's what they found on the bottom of Loch Ness, one of them. And that
It's weird,
is like
man. Who
10 minutes
knows?
away. That's a stone's throw away if you're a big
Look at
giant.
that.
It's pretty
Wow.
cool, right?
Yeah, it's wicked cool.
And that's what they say is a burial mound. It just happens to line up with the winter solstice, you know, and
Nothing
you've got
big.
12 stones there, you see them round it, and I've counted them. There's 12. So it's not a
Yeah.
calendar. It's not for recording time, Scott. But Randall Carlson, talk to me, man.
Oh man, Randall Carlson, he's awesome. He's done a lot of, he's done a lot of geological research and just a lot of research into these sort of past cataclysmic events that have occurred on the planet, these cycles that have happened. And for those of you out there who really want kind of some good in-depth stuff, check out some of the podcasts he did with Joe Rogan, because he breaks down a lot of this stuff. But he talks about how the Earth has gone through these rapid cataclysmic events that seem to occur much faster than what mainstream science tells everybody. They say, well, this event took like millions of years to unfold, and Carlson is like, no, it's looking more like it took maybe decades or something like that. The rapid melt of the ice caps during the last ice age, that caused the water level to rise 400 feet across the globe. And so things were much different before then. A lot of continents were actually connected. You could walk from North America to Asia because it wasn't an ice bridge. It was an actual land bridge because the sea level was lower by 400 feet. And he had a map that showed what the surface of the planet looked like
There's
during this
his
time.
channel. He's got his own channel. I didn't know that.
Oh, wow.
Somebody
awesome.
in the chat room who
Oh.
said that. Brett Munson, thank you very much, sir. I had no idea this guy had his own channel.
Thank you. I'm definitely gonna have to check out Randall
Will we take a
Carlson's
little listen to one of them if we find something that ties in with us?
Yeah, he's
End
talking
of
about
the
the Ice Age.
yeah. Try that.
Hit it up. See what he's got
Or
to say.
Earth changes and rhythm
Comet.
of the cosmic catastrophe. Which one do we go for? Or the mystery of our lost history? Come on, Joe, help me, man. Come on, Scotty. Take your pick. Come on, boys. Come on. You can do it. You can do it.
See,
Come on.
this shows how epic Carlson is when we can't even.
Dang, look how much he's done. All this in the past month.
Wow.
Oh, man, this
Yeah,
dude's prolific.
Go subscribe to Carlson's channel.
Yeah, I'm going to put
because,
this on. I'm not too
yeah.
confident to play his gear. What I'm going to do, though, I'm going to try again to get him on the show. I've tried once before. And he does go on little YouTube channels because I've seen him on small channels. He likes talking,
I'm sure he gets bombarded by people
Yeah,
wanting.
man.
He's one of these guys that it just.
And we
It's
can't
probably
play
tough
Joe Rogan
back.
because his voice is literally content
Yeah.
matched. His voice, the company works for it. Hey, it is what it is. I'm not knocking it, I'm sure a lot of people would rip off his content and try and monetize it. So I get it.
This all ties into what we're talking about because we had this before this pre-ice age world where everything seemed to be a lot more connected, and you literally groups of people could migrate from continent to continent. which is why I believe so many of these ancient civilizations were doing the same things, because they all were in contact with each other. They weren't separated by oceans that they couldn't get across. It's ridiculous to think that. That's why you had Aztecs building pyramids. You had pyramids and all had a lot of similarities because they all were in contact with each other. There was a global sort of civilization. They were all exchanging knowledge at some level. And of course, each location is going to have its own sort of differences and their own cultures and things like that. But at a base level, I mean, the architecture and the basic knowledge was shared throughout, the entire world. And so we go like to what we're talking about. Why were so many cultures obsessed with gold? Aztecs obsessed with gold. Egyptians obsessed with gold. The Chinese civilizations, gold. Gold was
There's
just
a lot of
something.
interesting properties with gold, though. That
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like something that's ingrained in our DNA, where we know that is a highly sought after material,
That's right.
an element.
Right.
And so this all ties in. This all ties in.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Hey, by the way, your man Bernie Sanders won in Nevada.
Funny.
Just so you know.
Well, the new thing now is that the Russians are helping Bernie.
The Russians are coming. Oh no.
Oh my God, dude.
Well, I can't really go back to or get to this next story until Kev comes back. But let's see what else we have in the grab bag.
I'm back. I'm back.
There you are.
I am. I'm back. I was just grabbing quick coffee, man. This is good.
Yeah,
woo.
yeah. No, it's great woo. We got about 15 minutes left.
Yeah.
And you sent an interesting Gizmodo article that I thought.
Come
would be
on,
good
man.
for the
We
rest of the
can't
night.
do all this good woo and then spoil it with that at the end, dude. You've got a story from Fizz.org that deals with people searching for
I was
things
just going to
underground.
do that up until but okay.
Folks, trust me, this is it would be pure titillation, and it would ruin all of this conversation if Joe was to. I can't believe you brought that link up. That was for us to have a laugh at, dude.
You sent it to me, man.
Come on, man.
Oh my. Okay.
Okay, we'll leave that for Popeye tomorrow, right? I can't believe you were going to ruin the night that I've connected the Anunnakis having a spaceship called the Moon. And also, when you were away a moment ago, I connected all this ancient gold to Oak Island. Come on, man. Don't do that with a gull playing with
I didn't get that part.
Dang, dude.
Anyway, compact dark object search, scanning the Earth's core with superconducting gravimeters.
Can you send me the link again, Joe? I've lost it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
It's okay. Here you go.
Thank you.
All right then. All right. So.
Thanks, Joe. That's really nice of you.
There's your watch. Physics theory suggests that the universe is made up in great part by a type of matter that doesn't emit, absorb, or reflect light, and hence cannot be observed using conventional detection methods. This type of matter, my friends, referred to as dark matter, has so far never been experimentally observed or detected.
So it's as good as my moon's a spaceship theory then. It's not even a theory, it's a hypothesis.
No.
It just makes up the math,
what
right?
What a great example of here's something that your Death Star theory is as viable and relevant as dark matter.
Oh,
it truly is.
I can see the book now. Kev's Anunnaki Death Star. I can see it, dude. I can see it. Forget Sitchin's Kitchen. We're going to tell him just Tavern.
It says detecting dark matter has so far proved to be incredibly challenging, probably because it doesn't exist, yet it could be far easier if this type of matter were concentrated into macroscopic objects. In fact, some physicists suggest or have suggested that dark matter, or at least a component of it, may be made up of compact dark objects, or CDOs, which are assumed to exhibit small non-gravitational interactions with normal matter. Charles Horowitz and Rudolf Windmer Schrindrig, two researchers at Indiana University and the Black Forest Observatory in Germany, respectively, have recently carried out a study investigating the use of gravimeters to search for compact dark matter objects inside the Earth. Their paper, published in Physical Review Letters, highlights the potential of using superconducting gravimeters in the ongoing search for dark matter. Much of the universe is made up of unknown dark matter, Horowitz told Phys.org. In our previous work, we've searched for clumps of dark matter, which we call compact dark objects, or CDOs, in neutron stars or in the sun. Since this dark matter may interact very weakly with the normal matter, it can move about inside normal bodies in a way that conventional matter cannot. Did you like that, Kev?
I did like that, actually. I was quite impressed with that, dude.
Yes, yes. Well, astrophysics theory suggests that dark matter has gravitational interactions with normal matter. And searching for CDOs using tools that can detect differences in gravitational forces between one location and another thus seems like a promising option. So with that in mind, Horowitz and Widmer Schrindrig, that sounds like some sort
I
of
hope
like...
they never win. I hope they never like find a particle called that. We'll just have to call it the HWS, right?
Schnidrig. Schnidrig. Yeah, that's Widmer Schnidrig. Oof. Set out to investigate the potential of searching for CDOs using gravimeters, highly sensitive devices that can measure the acceleration that results from gravity with remarkable accuracy.
Maybe that's what the Anunnaki were doing, dude. It wasn't gold at all. They were looking for dark matter.
That's it. They look and oh my god! And the gold was getting in the way.
Now, what does the mud fossil guy say about dark matter?
I have no idea.
Is that like the ghosts of people? Is that like where your spirit goes? Maybe that's what makes up dark matter.
Says we have shown a possible sense of, dude. All I can say is, what a great example. No, but what a great example of showing how your Death Star theory is just as relevant as a mainstream scientific theory.
Do you want to know what's encouraging, no, Joe? What I find encouraging? I've had two, like, we're going to argue over this word, right? Bona fide astrophysicists on the show. One of them came close to winning a Nobel, but confirmation bias skewed his results. Brian Keaton. Now, him and Brendan Drackler have both said to me they are very open-minded about dark matter not being a thing. You know, when they're sitting around having cups of coffee and things like that, speaking to fellow astrophysicists and whatnot in these places, the conversations are struck up all the time. What if it's not dark matter? What if it's something else? So we often have this kind of look at science as if they're very closed-minded. You find the younger ones coming through that haven't built a career on, say, dark matter being a thing. They're very open to looking at new suggestions, new ideas, you know? So I find that quite encouraging. I do, anyway. Nobody else does, though. Nobody else does. It's just me. It's just me. I'm shilling for science again. Yep.
Natalie in the chat said that some suggest that dark matter is where the Akashic records are.
Why not? It could be the framework that holds the matrix together. It could be the code. How do you know? We just don't know.
Possible. And if they don't want you messing with the code or touching it, it's firewalled off, and you don't.
It's dark. And you can't get it.
You're not allowed to touch it. You can't. You're not allowed to see what it is.
I've always looked at it as just being something that made up the math. You know, they were like that. Dang, we've got a big chunk of stuff left over that we can't see. It's okay. We'll just call it dark matter.
To me, it could also be the same thing when they say junk DNA.
Yeah. There's no such thing as junk DNA, but we know that. They
know that it's there, but they can't. explain it or decode it in any way. So they just say, well, it's dark matter because, well, we don't know. We don't know, you know, and just like the junk DNA. Well, we don't know what it is. It's just probably junk DNA. So
yeah, and
it's just an easy way to.
you know, we're coming. We've been talking about cataclysms and stuff like that, and these cycles and things.
I'm trying to find it now, Kev. I
think
don't have
I'm
it.
not sure if I might have it here, Joe. I'm not too sure. I think I actually posted something else in there. I've got the story you would love me to go to, but I'm not. It's about Doomsday AI. How could you lose the Doomsday AI program? Come on, Joe. Doomsday AI. There we go. Here it is. I will send you a link, Joe. There you go. I don't know if it's the same one you found, but MIT. Yeah, I'll just speak to myself. MIT scientists created a doomsday computer to decide what to do if an asteroid is unexpectedly discovered on a crash course for Earth.
Oh.
Yes. And why that
Oh.
advert keeps popping up. A team of scientists at MIT, they created a computer to deal with asteroids. The program simulates a range of scenarios based on how close the asteroid is, and the aim is to keep the asteroids from entering a gravitational keyhole. And that's the point where the asteroid enters an orbital path that's going to leave a really bad day and a really big crater on Earth that 5,000 years from now, podcasters of that time will be arguing whether it was a something or not. Like, was it really a crater? I don't know.
Do you think the asteroids qualify as one of the 100-year disasters that take place, or does that have to be
I think it could be.
Does that have to be an Earth-only event?
How do you mean an Earth-only event? What do you mean?
Meaning like earthquake, volcano,
but
flood.
wouldn't the asteroid cause a tsunami if it hits the right place? It could cause great earthquakes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you get an asteroid big enough to hit the planet, and all of that energy transfer that the planet has to absorb. I mean, you're talking about plate tectonics shifting, tsunamis. It's gonna cause some crazy crap to happen when you have something impacting the Earth on that scale. And you know, we're even talking about like changing the rotation of the planet, throwing it off its axis, that kind of stuff, depending on how big the asteroid is, you know. So
wasn't it the Japanese earthquake, Scott? Was that the one that shifted us a couple of millimeters? They said that it had moved the Earth on its axis. Was it that one?
It wobbled the planet a little bit, you know. I mean, so minutely that nobody would ever really, you know, notice it or anything in any dramatic fashion. But it did cause the Earth's rotational axis to kind of wobble. So, yeah.
Yes.
So, what did this AI thing? What was the scenario it played out?
I just said we're all buggered, and that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Just basically said you need to find tunnels.
Now you know why. Now you know why Elon Musk is trying to get off planet.
It says here a team of scientists, they developed it, and experts say that there are as many as 2 or 3 new asteroids, sometimes called near-Earth objects, discovered every night. That's gonna make me sleep well.
Yeah, oh boy,
it's
I'm gonna sleep nice and cozy tonight.
Booga booga! It's inevitable that one of these asteroids will eventually end.
Well, then I wish they'd done it over with already.
Yes, indeed. People have mostly considered strategies of last-minute deflection when there's half-naked people turning up below that. I need to be careful. Yeah, it's pretty bunk. It pretty much says that we're doomed. I can't go any further than that because there's scantily clad women, underwear models that will definitely get me kicked off of YouTube. Yes, indeedy. I can't believe it. We're almost out of time, guys. We're almost there. We're almost at our golden 90 minutes. I hope everyone has enjoyed tonight's stream, and if you want to support us a little bit more, there's a PayPal link in the description. I really would appreciate being tickled. Or Joe can tickle me. Anne's not looking at tickling me. She looked at me there as if to say, what are you wanting tickled? Well, every guy wants tickled, right? It's PayPal, obviously. But before we go, before we go, predictions for the big fight. I can't wait. We're only a couple hours away, boys. I'm going for Tyson Fury to win on points.
Oh,
I'll go with you there. I think I'm gonna say, yeah. I say Tyson Fury by KO.
He's put on an extra couple of pounds this time, Scott. I think that's
A couple?
I think that's just in case he has to take one of those big right hands. And let's face it, Deontay Wilder has got one of the best punches in boxing.
Oh,
Let's
man.
not take
He
it
is
away
a-
from that.
He's
dude.
a beast.
Yeah,
He's a
big
beast.
time, man.
I'll get spicy with my prediction. I'm going to say Tyson Fury knocks out Wilder
Wow,
in the
man.
8th round.
Dude, you're getting specific and everything. I'm just gonna go for him herky jerking about for 12 rounds.
I think
you know.
I think he's gonna do his Gypsy King thing. He's gonna dodge those hits.
Did you
dodge
hear?
those hit-